Hi, this is Jane Ellen, and I am here with Joe McNally and RC Concepcion to talk about St. Lucia. How are you guys doing?
Good,
We're
good.
good. We're good.
Yeah,
Welcome everybody. Welcome everybody that's watching.
you guys are
Sorry,
doing something
we
awesome,
were a
so you
little
just
late,
tell us.
everybody. Everybody was just a disclaimer. We were a little late coming on to the hangout, and it's my fault. Anytime I get near technology, it breaks. So, just an FYI.
So we're about, 6 weeks away from St. Lucia?
6 weeks away. Can't get here soon enough, as far as I'm concerned. Long story made very short about this hotel. I went down there to shoot the hotel in 1992 for a cover story for Travel Holiday Magazine, which is a magazine no longer with us. And I did one of the few smart things in my entire career. The woman who runs the hotel said, "I love these pictures. Can I use them?" And I said, "Sure, you can go ahead and use them. Just let me come back someday." And she said, "Fine." And I've probably been back down to the island now 15 times.
And from the looks of it, it's worth 50 times going back to that place. That's stunning.
It's one of the most beautiful places I've ever been to. Let me do a quick screen share here. Here's a thing that we did just to, obviously I've done some shooting for the hotel. So this was a shot and kayaks and the hotel and the mountainside and everything are in the background. I mean, it's crazy pretty there.
Now, did you kayak yourself to get there, or are you doing your wading out into the water things?
No, I'm hanging off the back of a motorboat, kind of a thing with a flat deck, actually a dive boat, to be honest. So dive boats have flat bottom backs, kind of where you can just slide into the water. So I wanted to get into the water, but my assistants convinced me that that would not be a good idea, and I would probably lose the camera, and they were right. So I stayed on the boat, got the camera as low as I possibly could, and made
Nice.
that shot.
So, about how many people come to these workshops? The one in St. Lucia.
With RC and I, we probably end up on a yearly basis with 8 to 12. There's no set number. We just kind of, we're a comfortable group. It never gets very big.
Hmm. And is there a lot of vacation time? Because for most people, that's a pretty decent travel to get to St. Lucia and to plan for. So, is it all work and no play, or?
Yes, it's a veritable gulag. What RC and I run, calisthenics at 6 a.m. No, I'm kidding. Um,
I want to
no,
go to that.
RC and I, we want a little downtime too. I mean, it's a great place to have that. So we take a break in the middle of the day. 3 hours. We're down, so you can go do something with your spouse. You can go rest. You can go swimming. You can go snorkeling or scuba diving or out into the jungle or take a tour or do whatever. And then evenings are off. We don't do, people have quote unquote, homework, because they have to look at their pictures for critique the next day. But basically, your evenings are off. It's, there's not a heck of a lot there to not like. You're having dinner and maybe looking at your pictures that you shot that day, and soft island breezes are washing over you, and the sun is going down, and it's just kind of a very cool place to shoot pictures, look at pictures, hang around, just beautiful.
So, do you focus on something in particular?
Yes,
Is it
well,
just
RC,
lighting, of course?
yeah, I focus on the lighting, and then RC, of course, is RC I always refer to as the Gandalf of post-production. He actually conducts his classes with a wizard hat and a stick, and he's just amazing at, when we go out into the field. He's a good shooter, so he participates in the field as well. But then when we get back to class, we have those instances where RC steps forward and he shows people how to work their images, which is not my strength. RC, over to you.
Yeah, and that's one of those things where I get a great kick of being out there and just kind of sharing a little bit of the technical side of what I do, and watching Joe with a lot of the stuff that he does on the shooting side. I'm like, what could I do what can I do to be able to add to this? You know, he's out there showing people how to do lights, and he's out there showing people how to be able to kind of maneuver. I just want to sit around and just go, all right, now you guys got it, right? The masters just taught you how to do this. Let me take you over here and show you what's possible on the computer side of it. So we'll spend a lot of time talking about anything from, you know, post-processing of pictures to HDR to video. And I think that what's different from this place more than any other spot is the fact that you have a nice, intimate number of people in a very, very beautiful environment. So
Wow.
it's like you just get to go nuts in a bunch of different places. You're like, well, what do you want to do today? You want to talk about printing? All right, let's go. And you go in that direction. It's like, well, what do you want to do today? Oh, you want to talk about, you know, advanced flashlighting? Go. And you can just pretty much take the workshop. There's obviously some parameters within it, but it's at any point in time, if anybody wants to bring it into the computer, and wherever you want to go in the computer, we can go. Like, I'm just as comfortable printing as I am doing video production, as I am doing, you know, internet development. So I'm like, just let's go. So
do you have one of your images to share right now, RC?
I do. Here, I can take over the screen to show. Let's see. Pull this up.
Now, this is a silly question, but seeing as I haven't been there yet, some of the people that you're photographing, are they just people you happen to find there? Are they those who have attended the workshop? Do you bring an airplane full of models over? When you put people in, who are they?
We work with local folks, local models. We have models, you know, that come to the workshop. Some of them are hotel employees who are extraordinarily interesting, vibrant people. One year we used a whole crew of construction workers for a series of portraits. And these guys are just, you know, they've got rough hands and, you know, like really muscular kind of dudes, you know, and they were great
Really?
subjects. Yeah.
Will you be photographing them again?
Yes. The year that you come down, you'll be.
Yes.
Just
to make sure they look okay, you know.
Yeah. They here but we also, you know, there's beautiful people there. Obviously, here, let me show you.
RC, what a great sky.
Oh my God, that's RC's picture. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, amazing. Here's a quick thing here with, you know, this is like nighttime in St. Lucia on my screen. You know.
So those are the models that you happen to work with there.
Right. We had models at this point, you know, and so we put them in the pool, and it's mostly an available light picture, kind of a thing where we just kind of use the warm light of the place, you know, and so that's also kind of the thing too. The whole week is an observance of light. It's not. It is dedicated to flash lighting, and we learn a lot about flash, but we also kind of ramp up in this extraordinary place an awareness of light, early light, color of light, soft light, matching flash with sunset, because the sunsets are spectacular. Firelight, you know, we stage a big production at the end of the week on Friday nights. We go out onto the beach with they're basically Molotov cocktails.
I believe it.
Flambeaus. They're filled with gas, just bottles, you know, beer bottles with rags and gas, and we put them all over the beach. So it just the beach starts to light up and get all sorts of glowy with all the fire. It's cool.
Oh, that's nice.
It's definitely cool.
Now, when you're in that situation, I know my camera just happens to be my phone, and most people, when I see them post photos that are in any way artsy, who are not photographers, it's always a really awesome sunset. Even through the phone looks pretty cool. So is that something difficult, one of the more difficult things to light so you can catch all the different colors, or is that something you need to go and process to make it really be how you saw it?
A little bit of both. You know, I would say I'd ask RC to chime in here. I mean, emphasis is let's get it done in the camera. Let's get colors that are true out of the camera. Let me see here. I'll just go over here to my screen, and I'll take just a minute to pull up something that's, you know.
Oh, that's a bed, isn't it, RC? That's a bed?
Yes, this is actually a bed. My wife will kill me for it, but this is
And then I will step over your body with her.
Yeah, this was actually one of the first, and I mean, and this is like up in the Jade Mountain area when we're looking at, the rooms inside of there. This room in this one section is just kind of completely nuts, and this is probably this is my most favorite room, the most favorite view of the place. It's just amazing the kind of work that we do. And now Joe just finished pulling up a picture where he's doing the Molotov cocktails things, and I think that this was one of the other things that I thought was great. I mean, on the computer side, there's definitely one thing that you do, but at the same time, there's also photographically, there's very, very different. Joe and I, as friends as we are, we could not be more different stylistically. And he goes in one direction and I go in another direction, and you get to cover this wide gamut. So on one side, he's like, what are you doing? You're doing that? That looks painterly. That looks cool. Check this out over here. And the image that he has up right now is just nothing short of stunning.
Mm-hmm.
And we just get to kind of play off each other. And that's the part that I really enjoy out of being in the workshop.
Yeah, plus she's sassy. She looks like a Bond girl.
She is sassy. She's been a regular model with us for 2 or 3 years, and she's wonderful. And she gives as good as she gets, You have to work with her, And that's also an experience that a lot of folks come down and they don't have dedicated people or don't have the experience of having dedicated people in front of their lens, like having a model on the beach in light like this. It's kind of brand new, So that's also a challenge, and the human relationship aspect of photography comes into play when you're relating to models, directing them, posing them, working with them.
And it is different. And I've worked with models, but not as a photographer. And when you have someone who doesn't like their photo taken and then you have a professional, it's a big difference on the outcome.
Absolutely. And so you have, different ways you can go here. RC has concentrated a lot in he's got the spectacular techniques that he combines images into an HDR assemblage, if you will, and the place is perfect for that kind of thing because it is already kind of a fairyland, a fairy tale kind of a place. So he's got that aspect of it going, as he said, and then I've kind of chimed in with the kind of down and dirty, let's get it done, with a single flash. So people come to the workshops have remarked about that it is kind of all over the lot, the skill sets that are emphasized.
So people have come to this workshop who have nothing except a camera and no experience, or are they mostly photographers who just want to get better and have an awesome vacation?
I would say, what do you think, RC? I would say a little bit of both. We've had some real beginners, but we've also had some very accomplished people who are just trying to polish skills.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen some people out of the gate, and I think that in workshops like this, what happens is you've seen people that just get started, but at any point, when the person that just gets started gets a lot of information, and obviously for a workshop like that, I think is very, very good. But what happens is you get people that have been doing it for a bit and just kind of want to take it to the next level, and when you work with workshops, those little bits of information that you get, moving your life from one point to another point, or dealing with this one little tiny piece of thing that kind of moves you to the next spot, becomes invaluable. And you find that those people tend to work with the other guys that are just kind of getting started, and you kind of develop this new body, you develop this new kind of organism of work. That's, the person that's just starting is going, oh, I see what you're doing there, and the person that's new is going, oh, I never really thought about it this way, and they kind of help one another when they're working with that kind of stuff. So I think it's great. You definitely don't see complete like amateurs or people that are just starting. That's not to say that you couldn't, but and I've done this now for my 3rd year, and the people that I see are definitely, they come in with something and they're just looking to be able to kind of take it to the next level.
Oh, okay. Now, the workshop that you're doing September 14th through the 19th?
Right.
All right. Are there any openings left? Are there any openings left?
There's
I hear the construction workers need a stylist. What? Did I hear that?
We basically have 2 openings left.
Okay.
We try to keep it small, so we have 2 openings left, And if we fill those, we will be at 10 people. That's not to say
Okay.
we couldn't take 11. In the past, we've gone up to 12, but we kind of keep it, because people are. It's a long ways to go. It's a high-end resort. All of that. It's the one kind of destination thing we do every year. It's kind of this. I don't know, this one thing. RC and I do some training for Kelby One, and we do hardcore seminars that are very, very punchy, filled with information, very affordable. This destination is really kind of a destination, so it's the
Right.
one time a year we do this, and we just try to have as much fun as we possibly can, and also keep the group small because the folks who are there, we really want to concentrate on them, focus on where they want to get to, and help them bring those skills forward.
Now, it's beautiful, yet whatever. Tell me about the food, because I'm assuming a joint this classy's got some amazing food.
It is
Don't
amazing.
disappoint me.
No, I'm not going to disappoint you. It's not. It's definitely like kind of out there food. I mean, seafood, as you can imagine, fresh is, unbelievable. Just kind
Hmm.
of was swimming around in the ocean, and service is, what you would expect. And there's something about, I don't know, a day out on the island. Like we'll go into the jungle, for instance, and we do flash and blur in the jungle, a technique called flash and blur. And RC will also do, when we go into the jungle, he'll do a walkabout sometimes with HDR techniques. So we split up the class, and we're doing this flash technique, and RC's walking around doing HDR techniques, and and then at the end of a day like that, a good meal with the sun setting again, as I mentioned, and the breezes, it's like, pinch me, I'm dreaming, or
Yeah.
Lord, take me now, that kind of thing, like while I'm like this close from heaven anyway.
That's right. Now, Joe, from knowing you, you like to, I don't know, play a little reckless. Is there anything particularly Joe-ish? I'm going to hang off this, but you guys just watch things?
No, not so much. Like I said, we go into the jungle and whatnot. I'm showing a picture on my screen right now that I rarely show. It really gives you an idea of the physical environment. That's kind of a cliff face. I am hanging out of a helicopter here because, again, the hotel, when we're down there, asks us to shoot for them as well.
Mm-hmm.
And occasionally, too, some of the workshop participants will submit pictures for the hotel if they're so inclined. And those have been used as well on the hotel website. Totally the decision of the participant if they want to go that direction. But I thought I'd show this. Annie just found this. My wife Annie said you should show this picture. It really shows the
Oh,
physical
yeah.
reality of the place.
And the
So,
hotel has just won again an award voted by those who stay at it as the best place to stay in that area of the world. It's that amazing. It's like if
it
you're
won
going to St. Lucia, go here.
first place in the Caribbean of all the hotels. Wild.
Yeah, I can see
And
why.
and you can tell, like from the moment that you get there, it's just jaw dropping. I was talking to them about it because I was just like we were having a conversation about it because it's become a place where I recharge kind of creatively. Like you go out there and it's like we get there and it's like there's so much you can do. There's so many places you can go, and it's like, Joel just kind of look at me like, because I'm like a crazy person. I'll get there and I'm like, oh my god, I gotta run over here. Oh my god, we gotta run over there. And it really is a spot where you can kind of go and just recharge your batteries and get some great inspiration and get some great learning. You can easily tell why they're their best in the Caribbean with checking out the spot.
So when you get
Um,
off the plane, you're like greeted by your own personal masseuse, and they throw rose petals as you walk.
yeah, his name is Callie. He's great. He's wonderful.
That's our first assistant, Callie. He's um, no, it just is. It is one of those places. I know we're probably going on here a little bit about extolling the virtues, but you know, I've been to a lot of places. I've been to 66 countries,
Hmm.
and this is probably the place on earth I've gone back to the most.
Ah, that says enough.
You know,
One of your favorite jungles.
yeah, exactly, exactly. And I've had some least favorite jungles.
can imagine.
That's a separate hangout.
So if someone wants to fill those 2, 3 maybe spots, they need to go to your website, correct, Joe?
Right, joemcnally.com. Or you can just Google Joe McNally St. Lucia workshop, and it'll come right up. The hotel has a site, or a site-led, I guess, section of their website devoted to special events. It's on that page, and the links are all on my blog. You search my blog and go to my blog and just type in St. Lucia. It'll come up.
And oh, that's a nice one, RC. Well, they're all good.
That was when we went down to Joe. Joe's got a ton of pictures on that. I'm like, if you think this is something, I go in one direction on pictures. Joe takes it in a completely different spot where he grabs like the entire class is just hanging on just on his breath. They're like, is he going to be able to pull this shot off? Is he going to be able to pull this shot off? And
you know, that's the I don't know. There's serendipity down there. I'll take just a second here and see if I can find it. We literally wandered into the not the St. Lucia firehouse, the Soufriere firehouse. Soufriere is the small fishing town that's right next door to the hotel grounds, and we wandered in there, and one of the firefighters there, I was with Scott Kelby. One of the firefighters there, Garby Charlemagne, who's become a very good friend over the years, was like, "Oh my God, it's Scott Kelby," and he invited us, and we kind of walked in, and we just ended up taking all sorts of pictures of the firefighters themselves, and we've gone back now every single year, and it's just a hoot. I'm going to see if I can pull up a quick thing here if I can find it.
Do you get to ride the engine?
Garby would take us anywhere. You know, Garby would literally let us go. You know, ride around in the engine, do whatever. Here, let me see if I can just pull this up here. Like, there's a firefighter from St. Lucia, and you wouldn't know that's 2 speed lights. You know, that's 2 speed lights through a diffuser and a window. And I mean, these guys are just great, and you know, they're pretty stressed because they crash into action sometimes. They're the folks that the people down there look to when, you know, there's maybe a hurricane aftermath or something like that, or rescues and this and that. So these guys are really accomplished, and they really look forward to us coming there. You know, and great portrait subjects. Great portrait subjects.
Yeah, clearly. I mean, what a fantastic face.
Yep.
So I would, if you hadn't told me that, I would have just assumed he was an actor or a model because he looks so into it. Makes sense now. He's a firefighter.
Yeah.
But those are extraordinary.
Firefighters everywhere are iconic. They step in front of the camera, they become a photograph.
Yeah, they're amazing people. So the first day of the workshop, what are you going to start with? Or are you just going to leave it up to them?
No, we direct. You know, first day, get acquainted, see where everybody's skill set is, everybody meets and greets, and then I give them 1 flash, 1 light. That's it. That's all you get, 1 light. And we bring the class onto the beach usually in the latter part of the afternoon, and we say, okay, here's your limitations. Think inside this box. You have 1 light and a diffuser. Simple tools. Let's get our feet wet. Let's go see what we can do. And then I also do demos. And then the next morning we're off to the races because the next morning starts critiques in the morning. And RC chimes in with his lessons. So at that point we are cooking.
Now, RC, yours are done mostly, well, they're all at the computer, yes? After you shoot for HDR, you're taking them on a digital trip?
Yeah, we'll go in and we'll start working with the different pictures, and we'll go out and we'll shoot, and then after we shoot, we come back and we go back into the workshop, and then we're like, well, you know, let's take a look at what happened here. What worked, what didn't work, how do we change this, how do we work with this one thing. So a lot of that stuff then we just post process. We just take a look at inside of the classroom. And some of the stuff I think is very easy to do. Some of the stuff will be, it's a little, it's more involved. But the goal with all of this stuff is to be able to give you something that you can remember, that you can take a look at, that you can replicate. So let's say, for example, here, I'll just share off. I'm going to go over here. Let's just switch, because we can't do anything without doing some teaching. Hold up a second.
Learn me.
And it's just simple. It's just simple stuff, but a lot of the times people won't think about it. And let's see, I'm going to grab this. I'll share the whole screen, and we'll come back over here. So you guys probably see my Lightroom at this point, right? Mm-hmm. So there's a series of pictures, and a lot of the times this is entirely too many pictures to be able to take. But I'm a big fan of printing big, doing stuff big. You want to be able to feel the experience of being there, right? So we'll go out and we'll kind of case the area. We'll go, this is one cool shot, this is one cool shot. But I found this one spot right here that kind of showed a good slice of what the mountain looked like, right? So obviously we're doing some HDR, so I'm doing some brackets for that. That's what these brackets are here. There's the other series of brackets. But what I want to do is I want to be able to take these things together. And a lot of the times people don't know, in Photoshop, you could technically take you could take this one picture here, this one here, this one here, right? This one here, and this one here. There's 5 pictures. Mm-hmm. Now, I have 5 shots that are set up there, and I'm inside of Lightroom. In Lightroom, I can always just go into Edit In and switch to Merge to Panorama in Photoshop. So that's going to grab all of that information, and it's going to move it inside of Photoshop, and it's going to merge all of those images together. Now you're doing this in Creative Cloud, you can do this in CS6, it's totally fine. Most of that stuff is work there. We'll explain the differences between perspective and cylindrical, spherical. Geometric distortion correction is something that we would always set up automatically. For the most part, I'm just going to leave this as auto. Mm-hmm. We'll go ahead and we'll grab all of these pictures. Now you'll see that the pictures turned over to the right. This one seems to be a little straighter. This one seems to be turned over to the left. And this one seems to be, I don't really know what it's doing. But we'll grab all of these pictures. We'll move all of these pictures here. And this will grab all of this information. It's going to align it based on the type of content that it sees. And it's these kinds of tutorials. Sometimes there's stuff that's really hard. Sometimes there's stuff that's really easy. If you want to kind of capture something that's really big, I usually tell people in this day and age you can make bigger pictures of it. Sometimes people don't have anything other than a 10 megapixel or a 12 megapixel, and you want to be able to print bigger. If you don't have a 36 megapixel, this could be one way for you to get around it.
Oh, okay.
Now, from here, while we're doing that, if you were just doing this inside of Photoshop, you can go ahead and inside of here, you would go into merging via panorama. Now, these files are really big files, but once that merges out, what you get is something that looks like this.
And that's all those merged photos.
Right. So this file is a much, much bigger file that you would work with. And then after that, after you do a little bit of tonal correction and a little bit of post-processing work, that's pretty much the final file that you would end up with. And I think it's a whimsical interpretation of the area. Like when you show up here and it's like, welcome to Anshansene, or welcome to Jade Mountain. Like, that's what it feels like.
Smiles, so, everyone.
You get, it's just a cool vibe to be able to do that. We're gonna let that cook for a little bit, but I figured, why not? Let's do a little bit of stuff there. And then on the other side, you got Joe. It's like, Joe, show us what you do with regular light at sunset. And I'm like, I love that. That's probably one of my most favorite shots that you have.
She's a cool lady. This lady is a lovely lady. Her name is Barbara Cadet, and she's a pretty well-known saxophonist, jazz saxophonist down in the islands and the Caribbean in general. She's got a couple of albums out, and I love people. I mean, I love to photograph people, and so I approached her and she said, I could really use a new cover for a CD that's coming out. And I'm like, girl, you got it. Let's come down to the beach, and I'm going to put you out there with your sacks out in the surf. And this is the kind of thing we do as a demonstration for the class, how we merge an area of exposure. See what RC was just doing? He was doing it like taking different exposures and different slices of things and merging them together. This is happening. She's there, and I'm waiting on the light till it gets really nice in the background, but without any flash, she's a complete silhouette because you're exposing for that background. The camera chip can't get its head around two different areas like that are really, really disparate in exposure. So, hence the solution is to light the foreground. So that's what we start off with the class. Okay, now you bring a light into play, and now you're starting to illuminate your subject and match these two areas, and the camera can deal with that. So there's, we ping pong really well back and forth together.
Mm-hmm. Now, when I see that picture, other than thinking it's great, I also think, how convenient her dress so awesomely picks up the colors in the sunset.
I know. I would be lying if I told you I planned that. She came down with that dress. I'm like, yes.
Because it's perfect. It's
Yep.
just absolutely perfect. And that's just a nice touch. I mean, it would have been a great picture if she was, wearing jeans or something, but that, to me, is the icing.
Absolutely. She looks like she's wearing the sky.
Yes, that's exactly it. So if you go to these, other than just having fun and learning, you're going to walk away with a beefed up portfolio, or at least the tools to beef it up yourself when you get home.
True. I've seen lots of folks, we've had folks who have come to this workshop have become good friends over time. We've had, folks who I stay in touch with all the time. Katie O'Reilly is a good photographer, friend in New York. Tony Drum, William Beam, all these folks who, we stay in touch now, and I see their portfolios, and they certainly have some of this material that they show and are obviously very proud of. So that's also a good feeling.
Yeah, that's got to be. Well, it sounds fantastic. And after this, is there, you just have to wait another year to go to St. Lucia? This is the most hands-on workshop for the next year? Or?
Let's see, good question. I think it's the only 5-day workshop I have scheduled for the rest of the year. There's things coming up like Photoshop World in Vegas. RC and I will both be at that. I have a lot of shooting coming up, so I've kind of tapered off certain areas of our schedule at the studio. We are, let's see, where else are we going? No place, certainly no place like this.
Right.
Sometime.
So if you want to be recharged and inspired, I would think 2 people need to jump on the St. Lucia workshop, or you got to wait for a year. So.
Yeah, the train's about to leave the station. We're getting down to cases. In fact, I got the tickets the other day. We're set. We're starting to plan. All that sort of stuff is starting to really roll forward.
Now, do you guys both bring a great deal of equipment on a trip like this?
I do. RC travel's a bit lighter than I. That's a good point to bring up. I bring down enough gear to outfit the class with light shaping tools, etc. People have to bring their gear. They have to bring their flashes, bring their cameras, bring their tripods. But in terms of light shaping tools like soft boxes, umbrellas, and stuff like that, if they want to experiment, I've got a great deal of that stuff there that they can pull from my own gear and experiment with. Okay,
excellent. So they can't really underpack because you'll have it covered somehow.
Yeah, we'll have it covered. Got to bring the basics: camera, computer, lenses, flash, tripod, if you like a tripod.
And all that's carry-on, isn't it? You got to be careful with that equipment.
Yeah, I bring my cameras on. I bring my cameras on board. I always go on a plane figuring I'm going to lose all of my luggage. And so I'm pleasantly surprised when I see it on the baggage belt. But I know that when I walk off the plane, I can work. If everything else disappears, I can stay in the same underwear for however long I need to.
Turn it inside out.
And just, and I'll just go to work. I'll go to work and hope my clothes and everything else show up eventually.
Mm-hmm.
I'm
Excellent.
just kind of just like, yes, that's right. You can stay in your underwear.
I thought you were thinking, what underwear?
I'm like,
St. Lucia.
you should have that
Oh.
luxury.
Okay, RC, what is your website?
If anybody wants to follow me, you can just go to aboutrc.com. That's pretty much where you can find everything that I do. Or you can just go to kelby1.com. So my day job is doing teaching and training in Photoshop and photography and things like that. You could find it there. And then, you find me on Google Plus, on Twitter, on Facebook, and all that stuff. You could just find all of that stuff on the website at about.
Find you on Google Plus. You've got like 1.17 300 million followers on Google Plus or whatever that crazy.
It's kept me busy. It's kept me busy. It's a good thing. It's a good thing.
Yeah.
But I'm excited. This is gonna be a good time.
Yeah, how could it not be? Well, you have two gentlemen to find and follow on every social media platform I could possibly think of, and you have Jade Mountain Resort to look up and ooh and ah over. So there are 2 spots left. 3, I can fit into luggage. I could mail myself there. So that 3rd spot may actually be gone. But thank you so much for sharing this with me, guys. RC and Joe, I will talk to you later, and have fun in September in St. Lucia.
Thanks so much. Take care.
Thank you, Jane Ellen. Thank you, RC.
Hey, not a problem.